In years past, we've had I see 2 minutes to 10. Welcome to the PNA Annual Meeting. My name is Bill Thorness. I'm a PNA board member. I would like to acknowledge that we are on the unceded and traditional land of the first people of Seattle, the Duwamish people, past and present, and honor with gratitude the land itself and the Duwamish tribe. Thank you for being here. We hoped we could all be together in person, and it's disappointing that we can't. And especially a bummer that we won't be able to enjoy Bill Fenimore's famous pancakes. But we are so glad you've joined us to talk about the PNA for the next 45 minutes. And we hope that our entire community can feel comfortable coming together again in the near future. This morning we will talk about the past year's accomplishments and the PNA's future coming up in this year. You will meet some new leaders both on the staff and on the board. I'm proud of the way PNA has weathered the pandemic and excited about our future prospects. I think you will be too. We are turning strangers into neighbors and neighbors into community. So to get the program started, I'll introduce Christi Beckley, our Executive Director.
Thanks, Bill. You actually got the program started for us already. So here we are again doing another virtual meeting. Not what we were hoping and planning, but here we are nonetheless. I started about a year ago, almost a year ago, last March, and we were still in the thick of it with COVID. It was weird, it was strange, it was stressful. Not the year that we had planned for ourselves, for our family, or for our community. We had planned for 2021 to be the recovery year, but instead we're still stuck on the COVID treadmill. However, the PNA continued to support this community and find ways to bring us all together, virtual or not. So I'm going to share just a few of the many, many examples that we get to witness every day about this community coming together. The PNA Village. This is our enhanced membership option for the PNA. And volunteers at the PNA Village help village members, older members, stay in their homes alone as long as possible. Hundreds of volunteers dedicate about 200 hours each month for small tasks and large. Here are a few volunteers, Kevin, Jim, and Bill, who worked a collective 85 hours to paint member Kay's beautiful home in Blue Ridge. Did she say Blue Ridge? I did. Blue Ridge, as you may or may not know, is part of our extended village service area footprint that we've been able to expand thanks to partnerships and funding from King County. Each week, the Hot Meal program serves hundreds of meals to folks needing food, a warm meal, and connections. Diners can also find hygiene supplies or get access to hygiene supply kits, medical and dental services, as well as connecting with friends and neighbors. We could not do this program without our dedicated volunteers. Here, shown on the screen, are some of our youngest volunteers from the North Seattle 5's preschool co-op class. Each year, they host a food and hygiene supply drive to learn about helping others. This year, they also worked together to cook a giant pot of vegetable soup that they called kindness soup. And finally, staff and volunteers all over the organization got creative. The staff at the Greenwood Senior Center worked to organize the mini porch concert series, which took place outside during the summer. Bruce, longtime member and volunteer, was one of our performers, and one concert goer shared of her experience. It was absolutely delightful to have him grace us with his warm demeanor and musical stylings. He has a welcoming way of getting us attendees to sing along and participate. I hadn't anticipated an opportunity to musically walk down memory lane and was most welcomed by all who were there. Again, these are just a few of the many, many, probably thousands of examples of interactions that happened around the PNA all the time. We'd love to hear what your favorite memories are. We call these mission moments, so please share in the chat a quick story or moment, or email us your thoughts about what was most inspiring this past year. But in addition to all that happened outside in the community, there was also a lot happening behind the scenes. And I wanted to share with you some of those things. So this past year, the board and staff leadership team worked together to update our vision and values. This was an important process, and it will help guide our strategic planning work in the future. So I'll read them again. We envision strangers becoming neighbors and neighbors becoming a welcoming and caring community. I'm sure that sounds familiar to many of you longtime members. And we believe the values of belonging, inclusivity, intentional engagement, and responsiveness create a stronger, more connected community. So look for ways that we see these values show up in the year to come. We also acquired the Greenwood Senior Center. So after many, many, many years of discussions with the City of Seattle, we finally came to an agreement about transferring the ownership of the property to the PNA, and we are so grateful. Around that same time, we also were able to finally install the lift at the Senior Center. So we now have an elevator to help make that building more ADA accessible. Meanwhile, at the Finney Center, staff were quietly updating the lobby to include new tables, chairs, and a coffee station, and we opened a community room that's available for drop-in hours and also reservable for members. We also reimagined, reopened, and rehired. When I started back in March, the PNA was working on a skeleton crew. The Finney Center was essentially closed to the public. The Senior Center was still only virtually running programming, or programming was only happening virtually. And at Whittier Kids, we were only open to support remote learning for the students there. So in addition, the limited hours also meant reduced staff. But since then, glad to say that we are nearly back to pre-pandemic hours with our both hours at all 3 sites, and continuing to rehire and rebuild backup capacity and staff for positions that were either cut or lost due or during COVID. And meanwhile, we continue to look with an eye for evaluating the how and why we do things so that we can continue to serve all of you as best we can. And finally, we actually expanded a little bit too. Thanks to some special funding and built-in capacity, we were able to expand a few of our programs like the Village, our counseling and social services through the Senior Center, our hot meal programs, dental and medical clinic service hours, what else did we do? The tool library and our social media presence. And that is all so that we can connect better with all of you. It felt good to get out of emergency mode and start thinking to the future, so you will hear a little bit more about that later in the program. But first, a big part of our future is electing our new slate of board members. So up next is Gabe Murphy, PNA Board President, who will tell you more about that. Oh, fist bump or elbow bump.
There we go, dual. Hi everybody, my name is Gabe Murphy. I'm the board president this year. I have the important but somewhat boring job, honestly, of announcing the fact that I'll continue on as board president this year. You'll hear from Helen Wattley-Ames, who will continue on as vice president. We have 2 new members of the exec team. Kayti Barnett will serve as treasurer, and Nick Major will serve as secretary. Before moving on to you getting an introduction to many of the new board members that will join us in the year ahead, I'd just like to take a minute to thank the board members that are departing. We have 3 board members who are departing after 6 years of service. Many of them would like to continue on, but they're term limited according to our bylaws. So that's Marty Chakoian, Evan Bourquard, and Michael Kucher. Several of these 3 are actually continuing on and serving as members of our committees, but as at-large members, so not as board members. So their presence, thankfully, will continue to be held, will continue to be seen at the PNA, but they won't be serving as board members any longer. We're also losing Laura Fletcher, who's been our treasurer for the last couple years. Laura's finishing up her term and is moving on to other adventures. So we're really grateful for each of them. A small token of that gratitude is represented in this picture, this framed picture of the PNA, of the Finney Center in particular. that each of them will receive. They're not here with us this morning. We're trying to keep the number of folks here in the room as limited. But we actually spent a good chunk of time at our last board meeting talking about in more detail some of the contributions and some of our favorite memories from working with these folks. So I'd like to just reiterate our thanks for that. Here in the next couple of minutes, you're going to get to see and hear from all of the new board members that are up for election. 4 of them are here in person, and 2 cannot be in person, but their brief statements will be read by Bill, who you heard from earlier. So our first is Tiara Adams.
Hello all, my name's Tiara Adams. I moved to Seattle from Chicago about 4 years ago. When my partner and I were looking for a new home in the Seattle area, we fell in love with the neighborhood, and we were really looking for a place where we could put down roots and invest in our home, but also in the community. So when I heard about the PNA, I was excited to join because I professionally am a project manager, and I'm looking forward to contributing to events and programs that enrich our neighborhood and help continue to knit neighbors together into the community. So I'm looking forward to giving back. Next we have Jamie Campbell here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jamie Campbell, and I'm honored to be one of the prospective members of the PNA board. As a longtime resident of the Phinney Ridge neighborhood, I've always been impressed by the impact the PNA has here and the special role it plays in enhancing and enriching our community. From summer camps to garage sales, farmers markets to beer festivals, and countless other activities along the way, the PNA has always been there to meet the needs and interests of me and my family. As a member of the board, I would be excited to have an opportunity to use my volunteer efforts to pay forward some fraction of the value I've received from this organization. If elected, I would leverage many of the skills I've learned in the corporate world. My work experience is primarily in the tech industry, having worked for 20 years leading software development teams as an engineering manager. In that role, I learned how to think strategically, set and deliver on audacious goals, and work with a diverse array of talented people. As a board member, I would strive to bring those same skills to bear on the problems and opportunities faced by the PNA. In addition to my work experience, I also had the opportunity to be involved in many nonprofit efforts. In my most recent role at Tableau, I led a team of employees responsible for evaluating grant proposals and helping allocate Tableau Foundation grants to nonprofits doing work in the Fremont community. I've also volunteered with many other organizations, including Greenwood's own BFI, food banks such as Northwest Harvest and Family Works, and the PGA at my daughter's school, as well as being a big brother in the Big Brothers Big Sisters program for 12 years. As a board member, I would be excited about the opportunity to expand my nonprofit experience beyond hands-on volunteering and grant making to learning more about how a nonprofit operates and plans behind the scenes. I look forward to a time when we can all be together in person again and hope to get a chance to meet you all somewhere down the road. Thank you for your time and consideration. And next up is Susan.
Thank you, Jamie. Good morning. I'm Susan Stoltzfus. When we moved to Phinney Ridge 7 years ago, my husband and I found a home and a community. We joined the PNA and have enjoyed many of its programs and events: the Phinney Fixers, the Farmers Market, the Tool Library, and many more. Now I'd like to give back as a PNA board member. I have experience in several of the areas where there's a need, including strategic planning, community engagement, and communications. And I would like to help our community prosper. Previously, I volunteered with the American Cancer Society, the Fremont Arts Council, and the Northwest Choirs, among others. I work for the City of Seattle, where I communicate about business licenses and taxes, and support the Seattle Animal Shelter, the best part of my job. I earned a master's degree in business administration, and I've served many public agencies and 2 nonprofit organizations. Last year, I received my real estate broker's license, and now I also work part-time for John L. Scott. My goal is to help people buy their first home. I love many things about Finneywood: the friendly neighbors, the small businesses, and the beautiful views. I want to serve our community and improve the quality of life here for everyone. Thank you for attending today, and thank you for your vote. Now here's Michael Wheeler.
Thank you, Susan. Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Wheeler. I am the Community Branch Manager of the Verity Credit Union located on Greenwood Avenue, just north of 85th. My involvement with the PNA began about 4.5 years ago when I became a member of the Business Advisory Group. I have loved and cherished my time on that committee and all of the subcommittees that I've been able to be a part of through that. This neighborhood has been so welcoming, both to me and my family, and of course the PNA is a huge part of that. I'm very excited for this next phase in our journey together, and I'm excited to get to know the neighborhood and each of you a little bit more. Thank you so much. Bill.
Thanks, Michael. I'm back to read two statements from prospective board members who can't be here today. Kristen Adams. With a background in education and youth recreation, I am thrilled to be joining the PNA board this year. My husband and I moved into the neighborhood in the fall of 2019 and consider ourselves so lucky to have landed here. I studied art at the University of Washington and worked as a high school art teacher for many years. Previously, I worked at YMCA Camp Orkila on Orcas Island with their environmental education and wilderness expeditions program. Now I work in real estate with a special focus on first-time homebuyers. I also try to make time for my painting and drawing practice whenever I can, and my husband and I love tackling renovation projects on our 1938 home. Our daughter, Jetty June, was born in the summer of 2021, and we are excited to raise her in this beautiful community of thoughtful and caring neighbors. I'm looking forward to deepening my connections to our neighborhood and through the many wonderful PNA programs. Deb Sundblad. Good morning, neighbors. I am so sorry that I'm not able to join you in person this morning. My name is Deb Sundblad, and my husband Scott and I have lived in this neighborhood for 20 years and have raised our family here. Our kids attended one of the PNA's co-op preschools and then West Woodland Elementary, and are now a high school senior and college sophomore. I love our neighborhood and am a longtime PNA member and have attended many PNA events and programs. I value our community and believe that civic engagement and public service is important. Over the years, I have served in many volunteer roles and board positions with my kids' schools and sports organizations. In my professional life, I'm an attorney, and for my entire career, I have represented workers in employment-related matters. I regularly perform pro bono work for low-wage workers and represent claimants in hearings regarding their eligibility for unemployment benefits. I'm excited to have this opportunity to serve on the PNA board in order to give back to our community and to help guide the PNA into the future. I hope to be able to connect with you all soon at a PNA event or around the neighborhood. Thank you for your time. And here's Gabe.
Okay, so that's our slate of new potential board members. I have to say that internally, well, from the existing board members, as well as the staff, we're very excited about this new incoming group. I think they bring a diverse and really impressive set of experiences and backgrounds to bear on the work that we have to do ahead. And there's a lot we want to do, and so their arrival is very welcome. So I'd like to propose a motion to approve the slate of new board members as described over the last couple minutes. In the chat, thank you, sorry. So yeah. Usually what we do in this process is we look for someone to provide for two different people to affirm the motion, and then we call for a vote. We've got a first. Thank you. And a second. Thank you very much. All those in favor, please write in the chat, say aye. All those in favor of approving the new board members as introduced and described to you just now. Great. Thank you very much, everybody. So next up, Helen Wattley-Ames, our board vice president, is going to talk about a subset of the things that we have planned for the year and indeed the years ahead. Helen.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Helen Wattley-Ames, board vice president, and I'm here to talk about the future a little bit. But first, I would like to financially, we have some very good news, which is that thanks to the incredibly hard work of staff and of some of the outgoing or all of the outgoing board members, PNA has ended 2021 in a stronger financial position than we were before the pandemic. We still have to rebuild and ensure that our work is sustainable, but we're in a good position to do so, and we feel excited to work with you all on it. This year and in the years to come, we have important work to do and we need your help. We are launching a community-wide needs assessment, which will help us build towards a long-range strategic plan that'll help us continue to grow and change as the community does. In the meantime, we're also planning to continue to rebuild capacity for programs, events, and enrollment. Christi talked about some of our activities, and we are hoping at the Finney Center to be opening Sundays. We're looking for an additional classroom to serve the Whittier kids. The Tool Library will be having expanded hours, and we're also excited at the reopening of the woodshop. And we are looking toward more in-person classes at the Greenwood Senior Center. Through the Senior Center also and the Finney Village is our Social Connection project, where we are working on outreach to people living in isolation and connecting them with support services, the village, and the Senior Center. And finally, the Hot Meal Program. We are hoping to continue expanded outreach from medical and dental clinics for services for those folks using the Hot Meal Program. And we are hoping to hire a resource coordinator to support people looking for permanent housing. It's an ambitious list, and we can't wait to get going on it. Thank you for all of your help and support. And I'll hand back over to Lindsay to take us away. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Helen. I'm Lindsay Campbell. I'm newer to the PNA, but not new to the area, and I can't wait to meet so many of you that I haven't got to meet yet. Thanks so much for joining us today. Though I know we wish we could have gathered together in person, it's amazing how quickly we all pivoted together. And that's one of the amazing things about this community. We move quickly together, we support each other when things are difficult, and we celebrate when things are joyous. And I really feel like because of all the people that are involved and the PNA itself, we're really the true definition of what community is. So thank you for that. And finally, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for being here today. And now the sun looks like it's still out there. Hopefully everybody gets a little time today to soak some of the vitamin D up that we don't get too often here. So enjoy your day, and thanks so much for being here.